So here is a Bootstrap. It is a CSS framework, okay, exclusively for responsive web designing. Okay, so in the Bootstrap, the meaning of Bootstrap means which is available ready-madely. So which is already done and we are going to reuse that. That is the meaning of Bootstrap. Okay. Of course, in the computer languages, Bootstrap, the name of the Bootstrap is nothing but like it's a compiler. Bootstrap is a compiler. So which is by default comes with the operating system. So most of the application compilers like programming compilers, they are going to make use of the operating system Bootstrap. So for easy translation, for quick translations, for that purpose. But here for quick making the responsive web designings, responsive web pages, and also some components, inbuilt components. Uh, in order to make them to develop quickly, we need to use the framework called Bootstrap framework. Okay. So still the current running version is 3.x actually here. Did you see that 3.3.7? Okay, the 4 is coming up with a different syntax, but not like a general CSS that is going to be. Okay. Since I've seen this Bootstrap 4 is coming since since 1.5 years. Okay, it's been 1.5 years they have put this banner, but still they didn't release the version 4. Okay, so what you can do with CSS means Bootstrap CSS means we can develop responsive pages. Okay, and no need to write the media queries from our end. It's already done in the framework Bootstrap. So the Bootstrap framework is a library which comprises of some CSS files, JavaScript files, and as well as font files. Okay. So if you'd like to work out on the full-fledged Bootstrap framework, you need to download the CSS file, JavaScript file, which is a jQuery based, and also one thing is font files. Because from the font files, you'll be getting the icons, glyphicons, and some additional fonts, whatever they have included in the library. Okay, and for to work out on the glyphs, you need to download the glyph files. Okay, anyways, see here. So this is the CDN. From the Bootstrap CDN, you can download the CSS. See here, this is a CSS file. Okay, so why it is bootstrap.min.css? Why not bootstrap.css? Means while doing the source code, you'll be following some code orientation. Orientation means leaving a space like margins. So for perfect code organization, for better readability, we are going to leave some spaces at the left side, at the right side, and pressing the enter button. For code readability, for code readability purpose, we are going to follow some code orientation over there. For that, by the code orientation, some additional characters are going to be occupied. Okay, some the additional characters will also be included into the space which is already occupied by the source code. Suppose if the source code is 100 KB, assume that if you're following the code orientation, the overall size of that file is going to be something like 170 KB, 180 KB like that. Might be additionally it takes some lot of space, depends on the number of lines of code. Okay, but the minimal version will not have any orientation, even not a space also. Okay, it will be like a continued order, you know, contiguously the code will be written. Let us take, if you're writing some h1, see the tab space. I've given a tab space for orientation. Okay, here I'll be writing some, then like this. So what are these additional characters? You know, these additional characters also would take some space, isn't it? The enter also will occupy some space in the overall file. Okay. For next one, let us take body. Again a tab, some property name. Again you are closing like this. So this is the source where you are going to follow the orientation. If you don't follow the orientation, the program would be like this. This is. So just only source code is available. There are no spaces, there are no new line characters are not there, white space characters are not there. So when compared to the previous source code oriented, which is following the orientation, and this is like no orientation here, and it occupies very less space when compared with the well organized code. When compared with the well organized code, this code will not take huge space. Okay, so this is called a minimal version. Minimal version will almost remove the extra spaces and new line characters. Okay, so whenever you are loading the libraries, additional libraries, I mean third party libraries from the different vendors, depends on the vendor server. Might be the vendor server might be busy by sometimes. So at the time, if you're dependent on that particular vendor library or vendor servers, it would be difficult for your page to be opened quickly. Okay, your page loads very slowly. So that's why it's better to load the minimal versions always when compared with the well organized versions. Okay, the as it is source code versions would take a lot of time to load the entire things to your web page. Okay, because here we are linking the external CSS file. The external CSS file was a bootstrap here. If it is bootstrap.css, it would take some time. When compared with the minimal version, the actual source code version would take time. Okay, but it's better to load the minimal versions always. Got it? So if you are not doing any operations, any modifications on the source code, to the actual library, if you don't want to do any modifications, just load the bootstrap.min.css. If you'd like to customize the actual framework version, I mean the source code version, you would like a little bit changes if you're expecting from that, you can just go for a bootstrap.css. Okay, because even it is very difficult for you to find the code which is contiguously happen, isn't it? So when they are break down into new line characters with the enter character, I mean enter button, if you press it, the lines will come to the new line. Okay, so whenever the code is well organized, that is better readable, and you can easily debug the code also. If it is very difficult, when you try to do the modifications for the min.css, I mean to the minified files. So minified versions better load fastly, but it's difficult to override and difficult to find where exactly you need to do the modification. Because Bootstrap framework is not just a simple framework with 10 or 100 lines, 10 to 100 lines. You know, it takes more than 5,000 lines of code. Yeah, Bootstrap framework will have 5,000 lines of code. If you would like to change the 5,000 lines of yeah, sorry. Um, okay, so it's better to load the minified files always for fast loads. Okay, and if you are not expecting anything, any modifications on the actual, okay, if you would like to do any modifications to the bootstrap.css, better go for bootstrap.css directly, but not min.css. Even it's very tough to debug the code, you know. Okay, everything, the entire source code will come to the single line, you know. It will not take multiple lines there. It will be considered as only single line, but not multiple lines. Let me show you that one. See, so here I have some script. Like better to take some CSS. Yeah. So this is CSS, right? In how many lines it has been break down? 1 to 70, 75 lines, right? Okay, now let's do one thing. See there, it comes to only single line. It will not go for the multiple lines. So did you see there? Okay, so all these entire styles will come to a single line, that is called line number 2. Okay, and rest of the lines, these are the rest of the lines then. Okay, so if you group them again into single line, what will happen? Is it easy to find out where you are doing the mistake? See, is it readable? First of all, this code, not right. So that's why better to load the bootstrap.css instead of bootstrap.min.css when you would like to do modifications to the source. Okay, so similarly there is a theme.css also available here for bootstrap. Like we can load some bootstrap themes, whatever the ready-made themes they have given, those themes are available from bootstrap.theme. So the bootstrap theme, very rarely used. Okay, very rarely used. Okay, apart from the CSS files, there was a script file available. I told you the bootstrap is not only just a CSS framework, but it is also framework which is famous for the components with which are already done, which are done on the base of Java jQuery. Okay, so based on the jQuery framework, the bootstrap components was developed. To make use of those ready-made components or ready-made methods available in the bootstrap, we need to include the bootstrap library, okay, which is a JS library also. Again, this JavaScript code is a minified version. Okay, already you know what is the code orientation. So if you're not following the code orientation, the source code, the file would take, it will be occupying very less amount of memory when compared with the actual oriented code. Okay, so the well organized code will take a lot of memory. The non well organized code will not take a huge memory. So for fast loads, always minified files are the better. Okay, yeah. So here the in the bootstrap.min.css, min.js, the prototypes will be available. Prototypes means nothing but components. Okay. Anyways, I'll show you how to build a component with JavaScript. Actually, from the JavaScript components, we'll go to the jQuery. From jQuery components, we'll go to the Angular like that. It's a hierarchy, you know. Even you can use the jQuery in Angular also, but we need to compile the jQuery code with a compile, with a dollar compile over there. Okay. Anyways, we'll see when we start the JavaScript. Okay. So that is about the Bootstrap. So what are the things required when you would like to work on the Bootstrap means the CSS file and JS file. Additionally, you can load the fonts and as well as glyphs. Okay. So this is manually how can you load the CSS and JS file. The link tag used to load the CSS, and a script tag used to load the JavaScript files. Here is the Bower install. Bower is a package manager like npm, which is inherited from the npm actually. Okay, so Bower is a child to npm tool. Okay, so what are the dependencies required for us to work on the Bootstrap? One is min.css, another is theme.min.css, then JS, and additional fonts and additional glyphs. These are the dependencies. Manually, if you'd like to include them, you can use the link tag and script tag. Automatically, if you'd like to include them to your project module, directly you can load them by using Bower. Okay, what's the command here? Bootstrap. Bower install Bootstrap. Automatically, the Bower command connects the Bower servers. Okay, and it loads all the dependencies which are required for Bootstrap. Okay, but if you'd like to work on the Bower, first you need to download and install the npm. Okay, if you want to directly load all the Bootstrap things from the by using npm tool, also you can load by using npm install here. Okay, so I'll speak about these commands when we start the JavaScript. Okay, but right now we'll go with the manual approach. Okay, loading them manually. So the Bower packages and npm, and first if you know the npm, the Bower is very easy. And always grunt is also available with you. Grunt is also another package manager which is like a Bower. Okay, then yeah, less is a preprocessor and SAS is also a preprocessor. Let me give you the brief idea about the less and SAS. The less code is a CSS. It's regarding to the CSS. Both less and SAS are regards to the CSS. Less is a JavaScript based, but SAS is a Ruby based platform. Less, why they call as less? LESS means it's not few, but it's about write less and do more. Suppose if you might have done some CSS code for a paragraph, assume that there is a paragraph that which contains a color, a border, a background, some properties, a position. Assume that. So we have applied some set of rules to the paragraph. If you'd like to use the rules, whatever you have done for the paragraph to the another element, so that's what the code reusability. In CSS, so far we did not speak about the code reusability. But yes, of course, we can do the code reusability better in CSS with the framework called less as well as SAS. So these are the preprocessors. They should not be directly used. Like how you are writing the CSS file with the .css extension, and by putting all the selectors and the rules over there and loading to the HTML page and double clicking. It's not like that. First of all, you should compile the less and you should compile the SAS. Okay, either less or SAS, whatever it is. So the source files should be compiled. Then only you can get the CSS file from that. So here we are not writing the CSS file with the ls. We are going to write the less files, LESS files. When you compile the less files, it will generate the CSS file automatically. Okay, by using the grunt, you can compile them. Okay. Yeah. So these are the files available from the Bootstrap. If you download the Bootstrap folder, you'll be getting all these files. And the map file is related to the less. This one and this one, they are related to the less actually. So this is the bootstrap.css, which is a well organized code, and min.css, no orientation, no organization is there. There would be no code organization in the min.css. And theme.min.css. Then JS, min.js. Okay. And these are the fonts and glyphicons. Okay. So CSS files will be available in the CSS folder, JS files will be available in the JS folder, and the glyphicons and additional fonts are available in the fonts folder. Okay, so this is grunt. Then now let us start. So this is getting started. What are the setup required and what you are going to use? This is one. Now get to the top, go to the CSS. Yeah, first of all, Bootstrap is compatible with the HTML5 first. Okay, already I gave you the definition for this doc type. I think at the time of HTML we have discussed about this. So doc type HTML in the sense that is a 5 version. So if you're following the version 4.0, everything like that, if your doc type having lot of lengthy code, you know, the HTML4 doc type, let me show you that. Doc type HTML4, which is a type strict here. This is 5. Yeah, this is the HTML5, sorry, 4. Okay, this is a strict version and this is a transitional version. Okay, if you want to use the frame sets in the HTML4, you should use it. Okay, for everything they have divided the DTDs. That means DTD means a document type definition, which are these rules are set in the XML file. DTD is nothing but an XML. Okay, in the XML they have specified all the rules for the HTML. You know, HTML was developed from XML. XML was a parent always, and HTML is a child to the XML. So HTML is for viewing, for providing the views. HTML is to provide the views. But what is XML? You know, XML is used to build the markup languages. XML was extensible markup language which is used to build the markup languages. Okay, and the rules for the HTML defined in XML. Whereas HTML is to show the presentation, XML is to store the data. XML always stores the data. HTML presents the data. So all the HTML4 version rules are specified in the DTDs, in the document type definitions. But for HTML5, no need to load any DTD. By default, every browser will have the rules specified for the HTML inbuilt. Every browser will have the HTML5 browser in the sense, by default, internally it comprises of all the rules specified for the HTML5. That's why. So our effort will be reduced now for HTML5 doc type definition. See the doc type keyword and HTML. This is enough to tell the browser this is a HTML5 web page. So that is what required now. Even if you don't give this, no need to bother about that. But better if your clients may have opened your web page on the HTML4 supported browsers like IE6, IE7. Still some idiots are using IE6 and IE7, some clients. So they are having some hundreds of crores of turnover, but still they are using older browsers. Why, I don't know. So they are always concentrated on the business, but not on the technology. Okay, they are upgrading their infrastructure, but not the softwares. Okay, so due to such areas, we need to we need to prepare ourselves. Okay, we should be in the safe side. So better to provide the doc type definition when you're working on the productive projects. Okay, and I told you. So when you'd like to start the responsive designing, the viewport meta tags should be there, because for the initial scaling and zooming that should be there. Without viewport meta tag, you cannot work out on the responsive things. Of course, the page will be supported responsive. What will happen means the initial scheming, you'll be losing the initial scheming. Again, the client will be able to see that web page like a desktop on the mobile. So whatever the view available on the desktop, the same view will be loaded to the mobile. That is not a responsive, right? If you zoom in the things, then it will be the content will be adjusted based on the width. Okay, but if they don't zoom in, what will happen? See, by default, the mobile web page, a mobile web page will be having some initial scaling and zooming. So that will be possible only by the viewport meta tag at initial scale as 1. Okay, based on the device width, it is going to set the scale. I mean the zooming. Okay, yeah. And here you can provide the maximum scale, okay, and initial scale and user scale. If user can be able to zoom, if we would like to avoid the zooming, even if the scale is available, if the minimum scale is available, if the pages fits to the exact readable requirements, even some users would like to zoom that content. If they would like to zoom the content, better not to provide this user scalable no. If you provide the user scalable as yes, what will happen means user can be able to zoom. If they don't want to zoom the web page, just add another attribute to that, that is called user scalable no. If you provide this attribute to the meta tag, user cannot be able to zoom in further. Okay, then uh, here we have the container. See, um, while writing the normal CSS code also, we used to follow some naming conventions. Okay, always better to follow the naming conventions. A container, which is a layout that which comprises of all the page things, whatever the requirements, whatever the presentation things you'd like to put it on the web page, better to put them and wrap them into a container. So this is a container which is a boxed container. Okay, and here is a full width container that is called fluid container. Fluid container means is a full width, it occupies entire screen space. And just a container which is a boxed container, it will leave the equal margins. Okay, equal margins to the left and to the right. So no need to bother about the CSS, I mean the CSS coding. Already some program, the rules are available with the container. For the fluid container, just what you need to do is just you have to use the class name. That's it. Just use the class names. Don't write anything to the container and anything to the container fluid. You need not to write the margin auto. You need not to write the width. Okay, and you need not to put any background. Okay, I think you need to put some borders. Okay, the Bootstrap framework will give you the whatever the required things, maximum possibility required things will be given on the Bootstrap framework. So the bootstrap.min.css contains rules for the container, for the container fluid, and the further whatever you are going to discuss now, for every class, for every Bootstrap class, the coding was already done. So that is the meaning of Bootstrap, which is already done. We just need to make use of that. That's it. Okay. And media queries. So we are already done with the media queries. And let me give you the naming conventions which are used here for different types of screens. Okay, first of all, XS means extra small. That means iPhone 5 is an extra small screen. SM means small screens means the cell phones, smartphones or tablets whose screen size is more than 5 inches or more. If your mobile phone having 5 inches of screen, that would be SM. If it is less than 5 inches, XS, extra small. Okay, SM means small, just a small. MD, which is suitable for medium screens, like 14 inches laptops. Okay, and tablets, iPads. So these types of devices called as MD screens. MD screens means medium screens, medium size screens. SM screens means smartphones whose screen size is greater than or equal to 5 inches. Less than 5 inches, extra small. Greater than or equal to 5 inches, SM. And greater than or equal to 7 inches, MD. Okay. Then this is LG means 15 inches laptop or desktops, whatever it is. The higher end devices, okay, higher end screens, everything comes under the LG. Long, large, okay, large screens. Large, medium, small, extra small. Okay. Yeah, so that is the naming conventions. Just keep in mind those naming conventions. So here you have, right, extra small, small, medium, large. Even some desktops will be having like a 14 inches desktops will be available in the market. Yes, of course. So some desktops may be 13 inches. Macbooks will be available 13 to 14 inches. Some MacBooks will be available 15 inches. Okay. Some Mac desktops will be coming like 17 inches, 15 inches like that. They'll be under the large screens. Okay, so the medium size MacBooks like 13 to 14 inches will comes under the medium. iPads, okay, will come under the small devices. Okay, and some smartphones whose resolution is greater than 768 pixel and less than 768 pixel, extra small. Okay, then coming to the grid system, as usual, whatever we have discussed in the RWD, that means responsive web designing, like there will be 12 columns available. Okay, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So total 12 grid columns are available here. And how can you divide the 12? So if you would like to divide them into two, the left one has a big column and the right one has a small column, you can make it like a column MD8, column MD4. What is this MD means? You're styling for you're giving the styles for the medium screens. For medium screen compatibility, you're designing this. Okay, MD. If you're writing XS here, for extra small compatibility, you're writing the CSS. And if you're working on small computing devices, SM. If the compatibility is for LG, I mean for the large screens, that should be LG. Okay, and no need to bother about that. Like when if you'd like to provide the same view in different devices with the different styles, of course we can apply multiple styles also. I mean multiple classes. You can load multiple classes also. Let me show you that here. There are two classes applied to this column here. One is XS12, another is MD8. Right now this is a medium size. This device width here, the width is a medium width here. In the medium width, it occupies 8 space, 8 columns. It occupies the 8 grids. Okay, rest of the 4 grids will be occupied by the next column. So this view, you can view the two columns here. You can view two columns here when if it is in the medium screen size. Okay, when it comes to the extra small, the left column occupies total available space and the right column will be occupying half of it. Let me zoom in, we'll see. Yeah, did you see here? I have zoomed in the content. I have zoomed the web page here, zoom in the web page so that the number of pixels has been reduced. That's why the media query here, it is choosing the XS instead of MD now. Instead of MD, it is choosing the width of XS. XS12 means it occupies the total available grids, 12 grids. It occupies the 12 grid space. XS6 means half of. It covers up to the 6 grids. So same as like whatever we had did in the previous. Okay, but here we are not writing the styles, the width, float left, everything. We are not writing all these things. We are just makes use of the classes. Okay. Very quickly you can develop the responsive web pages. Okay. So here, did you see XS, SM, MD? So when if it is MD, 8 gutter space will be taken. When if it is SM, the breakpoint will be the 6. Whenever the extra small devices, the 12 space will be taken. Okay, it will choose a 12 space when if it is an extra small. Only one column and two columns on SM and MD. On medium screen, the left column will be a large column. In the small screen, both of the columns will be equally divided. Okay, so that is about the grid system in Bootstrap. So what you have to do means just open the getbootstrap.com website, and this is the best site for the Bootstrap. Any professional developer, if they're working on the Bootstrap, they must have to get this reference. First of all, they have to keep the reference because there are a lot of classes available in the Bootstrap, not only for the grid system, okay, even for the number ordering, for the typography, for the tables, for the forms, for the buttons, for the images. So almost whatever the components available in the HTML, so right from the links, from the hyperlinks, let us take from the hyperlink, even for the paragraphs, even for the tables, for the forms, for the lists, for the input elements, for every HTML element, some ready-made style will be available in the Bootstrap. So just no need to develop anything new here. Just just reuse the things whatever available in the Bootstrap library. So you need to know about the class names. You just have to remember the class names. Even if it is very difficult to remember all the class names at a time, that's why we need to make this, we need to put this tab aside when you're working on the Bootstrap websites. When you're working on the Bootstrap web pages, definitely have to put it aside. So this should be, you should open this tab, then start working on the Bootstrap. Okay. For quick reference, just go to that and suppose if you're having some issue at the table, click out the table. Just have a look at the class name for the table. To get this type of table view, what is the class name you have to use? That is called class table. Okay. And for the stripped tables, you need to use the table stripped. Okay. For borders, you need to use the table bordered. See, we are just writing only class names, but not the CSS styles. Okay. If you'd like to get the hover effect like this on the table, you need to get the table hover. Very simple. Okay. And table condensed. This is a condensed table. Okay. So there are a lot of classes like this. Some hundreds of classes are available. At a time, it's not possible to remember all the classes. That's why you need to use to get the reference from this website always. Okay. So just open this getbootstrap.com. Directly can go to the